Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Mashpee Sewer Committee on December 30th at 2 p.m. We are in Mashpee Town Hall. We have a skeleton crew here today. We have Al Toll, we have, what's your name again? Oh, Ann Malone, and we have Chris Gallagher. Missing are Ken Dunn and Meredith Harris and Joe Lyons. First item, as always, I believe we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to have a quick meeting today.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank you personally. That's one of the few times I've been called a skeleton.
Okay. The letter to all boards. If anybody has any changes they want to make to that, they should send them to me. We've gone through 4 iterations, but if everything's cool, I will send that out to the appropriate people. Apparently, Carol Sherman, the chair of the select board, has canceled our January get-together. But I will send the letter to her and ask her to forward it to the heads of all boards. The discussion of draft sewering timeline map. I put a copy of that in front of everybody with estimated timeframes and prepared a base map, which is a street map, which is right in front of us here, so that people will be able to pick out their streets and know approximately when the sewer is going to be coming. I didn't finalize that base map until I get the okay of you folks for the dates that we have proposed. And I can explain why we proposed these dates. Selectman Gottlieb had much to do with the timing. He based it mostly on finances, availability of finances. Phase 1, we're looking at it starting 2022 and 2-year construction period with 1 year to hook up. So Phase 1, approximately 2024 to 2025. Phase 2, 25% design funding. In May, we're putting that on the docket for May town meeting. We would apply for the SRF in August. Construction authority hopefully would come 1 year later, May-ish. File the SRF fall of 23. Look at bids winter of 24. Start with construction spring of 24 and hopefully be operational the fall of 26. So on all of phase 2, we've put 2026 or 27. 2E is somewhat more complicated because it's still uncertain. We're going to be having discussions again with Kennedy sometime in January. Yes. Yep.
Something changed major? I mean, we were so far apart.
I don't know, Al. I don't know, but I'm guessing, since Kennedy was well aware of the fact that the dollar signs were not working out, that he has found a way to make it more appealing.
Good.
So that could change, that date could change dramatically and could happen more quickly, possibly. So that's the rationale for the dates, and hopefully people will find the map useful, that map, the street-based map.
So the idea, Mike, is that after phase 2, at some point, we will sort of stop and evaluate where we are, and then be looking at planning what dates might be operative for the next phase.
Yes, I think it would be, once we get through phase 2, time to rest a bit, since theoretically, we will have met our quotas in both watersheds, Pompanesett and Wacoit. So we stop and rest and
Assess.
see how things are going.
We haven't done anything with Wacoit Bay.
Well, the 2E is in the Wacoit watershed,
Oh.
and
Oh.
believe it or not, if we manage to do 2E, that in combination with the shellfish, we will have exceeded our quota.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, next was discussion of the bid process, but Joe's not here, and turn to Chris and ask him where we're at.
On the bid, we're doing, we're meeting with the pre-qual the 4th. We're all gonna, have our, selections, and just the outcome of who made the cut, which is just about everyone. And we're gonna wrap up the pre-qual by the end of the month. And as far as the bid, who knows, that could be far out. I mean, we got a mass historical issue that's come up. And they're predicting they're gonna have their report done in May or June to get to mass historical. So that could be an issue. Besides that, we're still waiting on DOT and a couple of the land takings. And I gotta discuss some things with GHD. I reviewed the final plans and found a few issues where they had sewer on land that I don't believe we have rights to use. So we might have to reconfigure some things, because one of them's a piece of land that I tracked it down, but it's, I don't know where the owner is, but that was an extension of Sewell Road, and that extension was never taken by the town. So they can't, that's problematic. But they're minor things, very minor as far as the plans go.
Okay.
The only obstacle I see really is Mass Historical, and the remainder of the permits, Mass DOT. I'm not sure where they're at there. But they've been responded to, all their comments have. But, I don't know timeframes on these things. They get to the state, and could be a month, could be 2 months. It's hard to tell, especially the way things are now with all Mass DOT, DEP, they're all working remote. None of them go in the office anymore. So we'll just have to wait and see.
So Chris, based on your contacts with SRF folks, do we have to have all these permits in hand before we can go to bid?
Yeah. It's Michelle Higgins is the woman at SRF. And she's pretty by the book. I mean, she's real helpful. She's been good to me, and every conversation always gets right back. But she says we have to have every single thing before they'll give us permission to advertise.
Okay.
So
What does that do to our ability to put the shovel in the ground in the spring?
you can't, the SRF loan people have to give you permission to advertise. So you can't go out to bid till they give you that permission.
No, but I mean, as you look at,
Oh, timeframe?
the timeframe.
I would be surprised if we got a shovel in the ground this spring.
Okay.
So I'd say most likely, hopefully we can get it bid out then.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're bidding it out in the summer. And the tough part about that is a lot of people, a lot of these contractors already have all work lined up by then.
They're already happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, you want to bid stuff out in the winter or fall. But, I mean, there's been a lot of action on the pre-qual, the bidders, and there are a lot of names I expected. You know.
You had a good response?
Yeah, I had had a half dozen generals, and you need to have 3 in every category for your subs. And we got the 3 in every category. We got 3 or in excess of 3. We had a bunch that showed interest, but not all responded.
Right.
So the responders were plenty, was ample to choose from. And there's couple of the companies I'm familiar with, and a couple of them really do good work.
So do you think, Chris, the fact that they even applied suggests they'd be available in the summer?
No, I don't, well, I think the plant we're gonna probably do year-round. The street work won't be the summer, but
Right.
these are all just for the plant.
Right.
So if that did get bid out, they could start in the summer.
Okay.
So all these bids that are going on right now are just for the plant?
Yeah, you don't have to pre-qual for the flat work.
Okay, good.
pipe
Just
work.
clarifying, thanks.
It's just for the building. It's vertical construction over a certain amount. You have to go through all the pre-qual and all.
Okay, great.
So when would we have to look at, how would you select contractors for the sewering?
Well, basically, with the pre-qual, you select who gets to bid. So only the people that you select are the ones that are allowed to bid. That's what the pre-qual process is. And almost all of them are people that have done this before. They all fill out the forms the same way. I think I've only found one that didn't do a Rhode Island contract, that didn't have things filled out properly. All the rest, it's pretty much cookbook. So they're the only people that can bid on the project. Then when it goes out to bid, you'll probably hear from all the same. We'll pull a bid package, and whoever's low bidder, as long as they're determined to be competent and capable to do the job, you pretty much have to give it to them.
Okay.
So I'm not sure I'm getting this, will a general when you select a general contractor,
When we select.
will that person will part of their job be to set up all the sewering?
No. What's gonna happen is they're gonna take it from Carlton Street, and 60 feet in is gonna end. There's gonna be a north contract, north of 28, south of 28. The north of 28 will go down Carlton Street, put a pipe 60 feet into the land. And then the GC for the plant will take that pipe from there, sewer down the access road to the pump station that pumps it up into the treatment facility. But they won't be touching the piping. You might get the same bidders. Some of the people that bid do piping too. So, some of them, a lot of them just do big buildings. But there's a couple in there that do water line and sewer line work. So they'll probably be bidding on the collection system as well.
Okay. So it appears as though everything's, hopefully will line up so that we're building sewers simultaneous to building the plant.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The plant can go out, well, it can't till the SRF's done.
Right.
So, the plant can start any time of the year, really.
Okay.
Okay.
Discussion of web page. Ann, I'm going to turn that over to you. I know Ken was in contact with IT folks about making some changes, but Apparently, there's a way to put certain stuff, archive certain stuff, so that everybody will have a chance to review what the proposed changes are without actually changing the web page. So all of us here will review what Ken's done when he's finished with IT.
Well, I haven't spoken with Ken, but we did get an email from Meredith today, who is in Florida for a couple of months, and she's interested in working on this as well. So I think the first thing we want to do is clear away and archive a lot of the historical documents that really don't need to be on the front page, so that when visitors to the website come looking for information on the current project, they don't have to look through all of this historic information, of which there's a good deal, and it's all really valuable. But one of the things that Ken is doing is trying to sort of give that a first sort and see what he would recommend for the first set of documents to be archived. Then, in a parallel structure, we've been working on creating a few documents. I think I seem to be losing this from time to time, but we've been working on creating a set of simple, straightforward informational documents vis-a-vis our SOPs, and looking at, for example, the piece that we did on the different kinds of water treatment approaches, so that these will be informational. And the next phase after we archive will be taking a look at creating half a dozen pages like that we can put in the forefront for people interested in finding out information. And eventually things like, what are the resources available to homeowners? How can they structure payment plans for having to connect to the sewers, or respond to issues related to their current systems? Those are all questions that are high on the list, I think, of public interest. And that will be the phase after Ken's done the initial archival work.
A lot of that sounds like it'd work well in frequently asked questions.
Exactly.
Yeah. Boom.
Yep. Yeah,
Good
because
point.
they are. That's what they are. So for the moment, we're kind of awaiting the outcome of Ken's conversations and his recommendations. And then we've created already probably 4 or 5 different frequently asked questions and answers. And we'll come back and talk about other pieces to that the group as a whole would like to see, and then we can sort of organize getting it onto the pages.
Okay. Next, Chris, can you talk to us about the OPM contract and work scope?
Yeah, this, there's a contract for the collection system and a contract for the plant. It's too bad there isn't a full board to go over this, but I'll give you each one. This is 2 and 3, which is the collection system. This is 1, which is the plant.
Thank you.
So these are contracts, is that what you're saying, 1 and 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Okay,
One's the plant.
okay.
One's the collection system. I mean, instead of reading all those pages, I could just give you a short version.
Right.
That sounds like a great idea.
Basically, contract 1, they're gonna do everything involved with the plant. They're gonna have a resident engineer there. They're gonna, do it start to finish, get the SCADA system up and running. And, just do closeout on the plant. And then, do startup and pretty much everything from shovel in the ground to finish.
Does that include site work, Chris? Like,
They'll be there for all site work, all piping, everything,
okay,
everything that happens. And what they do is they do daily reports every single day, who was on the site. I mean, it's good to do just because if there's extras or anything like that, you have a record of everything, any change order. But they do daily reports, pictures, So you'll end up with a big, full report at the end on every day and everything that happened. Same thing with the collection system. They're gonna have, probably 1 to 2 people on the collection system, start to finish, resident engineering. They, again, will do daily reports. They'll do all the SRF work. They'll do all the public outreach. They'll work on the webpage, and that's all included in this. Also, what's included is they're gonna do a complete design review, which, probably should have been done a while back. It was a cursory review from pretty high up in the sky. They're gonna do one from on the ground. And they're gonna have, their mechanical guys, everybody look at the plant design to see if there's any better ideas they might come up with or anything that could save money or be done more efficiently. So they're gonna do a complete review of the plant plans. They're actually, their numbers are reduced because they had put in for bidding and everything, and they're gonna be involved, where they're gonna be there when all the spec sheets for all the equipment comes out. They're part of the pre-qual team, but they're not gonna be as involved as, so that number's actually gonna come down, but they're not gonna be as involved. I did a price comparison, if you wanna see it.
Chris, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what numbers you're referring to. Where,
Find what?
what you're talking about in terms of the cost of the contract. Can you tell us what page?
The copy of the contract?
The cost.
Oh, the cost?
You've been referring to numbers and,
I have it summarized for you.
I'm just wondering where we can see those. Is that on page 12?
Where is this? Okay.
Yeah.
The cost is like second or third page from the end.
Okay, looks like page 12.
I found it.
Okay, page 12.
I think because we haven't digested this when you're talking about it, if you can give us a pointer to where to look.
Okay. They're the last few pages on both of them. This one's page 12. This other one is, I was just going over the overview. I was going to get to the cost.
Okay, you just made reference to them, so I was wondering where to look, that's all.
Okay, page 10 on the other one. And that actually summarizes some of the tasks. But this is basically what the cost comparison is, apples to apples. I pulled out their bidding and, plant design review, because that's not part of scope of what, GAD has. I just compared the two, just so you can see. And this is apples to apples. I had them take the other contract and do
Whoa.
exactly the same work that was scoped out in that, and didn't show them pricing. So it's substantial. And they're a very good quality firm. The town manager checked out a lot of their references.
Anything he's saying now is not being heard, because he's not here alone.
Right,
Okay,
so can you just, if you distribute and then go back and talk about them. Thank you.
So this is, again, I would have liked to do it with a full board, I guess, but that's, so I can send these to the other members' email.
okay, that'd be great.
But that's, I did a cost comparison. I made them give me numbers blind for the tasks, so they had no idea, what they were or were not leaving on the table, but that's a substantial difference.
Yep,
And it's for the
it sure
same
is.
exact task, so that's more that can get put into sewer. That's more that could be maybe used for your 25% or offset your 25% design, but it's, taxpayers' dollars, so
Chris, what's the difference between contract 2 and contract 3?
contract 2 and 3 are the collection systems broken up into north and south.
Oh, okay. And 2 is north?
2 includes all the pump stations, where 1 doesn't include any of them.
Okay.
So one company's gonna do all 3 pump stations. Well,
So which
One
contract
general.
are the pump stations? Or however you want to describe the difference between,
Contract 3 is the pump, contract 3 is the whole Mashpee Neck area,
okay,
and then the stuff north of it, like Orchard,
yeah,
Brewster, Harwich, up in that area, south of Route 28, but they are included in that is the pump station on Mashpee Neck Road and Brewster, but the one on Summerwood too.
Okay.
So that's what
Awesome.
brings the money up, and it's actually got more piping. Contract 2 is just piping, and that's all the Ashes Path, High Sachem,
okay.
Carlton, and it has that add alternative for Meeting House Road, which I reconfigured to make it go down, I think probably Hanson Street, so it's a public road. The other piece isn't owned by the town.
Okay.
So are these two different, contracts will be bid on and could be bid on by different companies
Oh, yeah,
and be accepted for different companies?
yeah.
Okay, and so can you tell me how you decide to split them up? And
I was not actually in favor of splitting them up.
I don't know whether to be in favor or not, but I'm just wondering,
I think the thought was, maybe to have 2 crews, I really don't know.
well,
But
the
most-
northern part would be the one closest to the plant.
Yeah.
So maybe the idea was that they would be done somewhat in conjunction?
No, they're gonna be both at once. Actually, the north would be done, well, it depends who does the job. But
Right.
the north is less work to complete.
So why the 2 contracts?
That was the way GHD set it up.
Okay.
So we should ask them that question.
I think what the idea behind it probably was to keep the price down for bonding, so it would open it up to more companies
Okay,
instead of one big number.
okay.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't really see any other logic to it, but so there'll be 3 separate bids. I'm not sure if the bid openings, I imagine, would be staggered for 1, and 2 and 3 would probably go at the same time. I mean, it's been my experience that each contract is gonna hold their numbers for all their line items. So a lot of times you'll get the same person. The only wild card in this is the pump stations. Or what number they carry for that.
So are all these contracts, all 3, gonna have like mandatory completion dates and
Oh, yeah.
checkpoints?
Yeah, they'll have mandatory dates, they'll have fines associated with not completing them, per day. There's certain wiggle room for them, but, and I've generally hardly ever seen anyone get fined, even if they went over, because it was generally a half-decent reason, and the towns were human about it. But yeah, they're gonna have a completion date.
We're kind of skipping around here, Chris, and I'm sorry, because that's kind of a disservice to you, but You mentioned at the beginning of describing these documents, something about the OPM being responsible for some public outreach and web pages. Can you tell us what that is and where that is?
It's for the collection system. It's for the collection system.
You mean dealing with homeowners who would be along the way?
Yeah, dealing with every homeowner. I mean, what typically is done is they end up knocking on everyone's door, and they figure out the best place to put their sewer stub. They schedule with them. They'll go on the website and say what streets we're gonna be where, when.
Okay,
That type of thing. But it's not for the plant, it's more for the collection system, because the plant, you're off in the woods. The collection system is gonna be, present some traffic challenges and probably make some people not too happy. So we're gonna try to coordinate that best we can between the police and the resident engineer. Because typically when we set these up, we have pre-construction meetings with all town departments.
yeah, sure.
And the contractor works with the police and fire and safety and, on coordination on the town roads and details and that type of thing. I mean, we could have as many as 4 details a day if there's only one crew on each site. Because you're gonna have roads where you're gonna have somebody on each end.
Right.
And radioing on what house you're at. They have to go around type of thing.
And the reference to web pages would be what, updating information on where they're going to be?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, it would be basically updating stuff for, we're gonna-
updating operational
Yeah.
plans for the benefit of the public?
Yeah, we're gonna be on Carlton Street from probably this date to about that date, and different things like that. One thing, just to go off topic, thinking back about Ken doing the webpage, Falmouth has a great page with great information on it when it comes time to pump stations, this type of thing, the environmental one pumps and that type of thing. But they have a lot of stuff that's pretty good.
Okay, good.
We'll let Ken know.
So there's a lot of material here, and I imagine when we've had a chance to read it, we'll have other questions, and that will give everybody else a chance to read it and come back as well.
Chris, I just have one quick question. By hiring environmental partners and what they're doing, will there still be what we used to call a clerk of the works? Or are these people taking over that responsibility?
They're basically, I guess you could call it clerk of the works on the station.
A supersize?
The GHD stays on as designer. This is pretty common.
Yeah.
This is how it works. And the designer stays on because theoretically, I mean, they're not supposed to be OPM. They're not supposed to be overseer. So the designer stays on as designer to make sure all the materials are what was spec'd on their plans. If there's anything that turns out needs a redesign, it would go through them. Anything they find. I mean, there may not be anything. Everything might run fairly smooth, but they'd probably be at, once a month design meetings. I mean, once this is going, you're probably gonna have someone from EPG at probably at least every meeting or every other meeting to update what's done in the field, unless I keep track of it, but they'll be here for the plant.
Good.
So do they then have a role in terms of coordination and reporting with SRF and DEP and?
All that, yeah.
So that will no longer be GHD?
No, because the SRF, once you get done, you get the loan. All it is basically, it's kind of just like Chapter 90 with the highway. You keep all your receipts, and then you submit your receipts. And if they're all legit, then they would give you reimbursements. But it works just how Mass DOT, same type of thing. And so there's forms you fill out, and you just keep track of all your receipts and where you're at. And there's an SRF representative that will be out here on site. The one I always dealt with, I think just retired recently, Dave something. But they'll have someone out here just to make sure you know, on occasion, that you're doing things right.
So all of the compliance issues with public bodies will now be the responsibility of the OPM,
Yeah, but a lot of that, once it's permitted,
right?
there isn't a ton of follow-up. You just got your permit and you go.
Okay, okay.
I mean, they'd probably have to deal with DOT when they start coordinating construction, and that type of thing. But there's really no conservation to deal with. They'd have to coordinate things with Catherine, DPW, because she'd be in the loop for streets. And the police details are generally the contractor.
Okay. Speaking of permits, before I forget, the groundwater discharge permit was actually noticed in the environmental monitor today. It will be in the January 7th issue, and it will have a 30-day public comment period. So making that correction did not slow us down at all, which is good. And I don't know if people are interested, but the correction was on C5 in the discharge permit. I'm sorry, C1, which I think is page 5.
Yes.
We had to add some wording because they made the mistake of assuming that the load per annum was based on 10 milligrams per liter. And we wanted to clarify that it's really based on 3 milligrams per liter.
Okay.
And it's good because they gave us some flexibility.
That's,
All right. Anything else, Chris?
No?
No? Can I?
So these contracts, or with the copies you've given us, are not signed, so have they been signed?
Yes,
So these are completed contracts?
yeah, and both the town manager and his administrative assistant are out this week. But it was all, went back and forth with town council on insurance issues and that type of thing. And so there was some edits made. There was some, you know, bonds and insurance documents he had to get in, this type of thing. But he okayed it, I think, 2 weeks ago. And so it went in for town manager's signature.
Excellent.
And I think they just have to, I don't know if Dawn's done it yet, the finance office has to sign off that the funds are available, which is routine, but yeah.
Okay. Can I steal this? Ian? Web page additions, we kind of talked about already. There was no correspondence. I checked the mailbox. Other items not anticipated. I don't know that we have any.
I did ask if you wanted to have anyone else covering, going to Board of Health meetings in Meredith's absence, since she was doing that.
That's right. I will cover the next one, which I think is the same day as our next meeting, which I believe is the 13th?
13th is correct.
Okay.
Actually, Glenn Harrington called me today, wondering if I can get him a copy of this map, so I'll give it to him. probably before the end of the day today, but he had mentioned a Board of Health member was going to come here tonight, but
Oh,
guess that didn't happen.
They don't have a meeting posted, though.
Oh, I meant just come how you're swapping, going to each other's meetings.
right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but nobody came, so.
Chris, can you let them know that, I guess the dates are okay with people, so I'll finalize that street-based map. And then I guess I'll try and have it reduced to 11 by 17, and we'll get them a copy.
Okay, I'll give him a copy of this for now, just so it has dates.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mike, the timeline that you read off, that you had worked on with Selectman Gottlieb, could we have a copy of that timeline, just so we can get a feeling for the sequence of dates?
Okay,
I'd be happy to type it up for you if you want.
I can do it. I can do
Okay.
it. I will send that around to everybody. The
Okay.
Rationale for the dates.
Yeah, and just a sequence beyond seeing the numbers here, I think is helpful.
Basically, I think what the board can take from this is, we're gonna rest after phase 2 is done. And if they wanna do permitting of IAs down south, they should go for it.
Well,
I actually looked just at that 2D, the Falmouth portion, how you have to go through Sandwich,
Say that again, Chris?
how you have to go through Sandwich to get to the Falmouth portion. You don't.
to the
really-
Mashpee portion?
I mean, the Mashpee portion.
Oh, okay.
Santuit Pond's a shallow pond,
Mm-hmm,
correct?
mm-hmm.
You could just do the Falmouth section, horizontal directional, drill it, and pump it right over to the other side, or right onto the pond. I've done it before. You know, that's a thought. I mean, when it comes time for that,
Yep,
it's something to look at.
okay,
Because I was looking at it the other day, and there's a couple narrow areas that you could get across fairly easily. And horizontal directional drilling is just, you know, I had done it the last 5 falls in the vineyard. You'd actually drill, and you have a machine that you know how to dive down, up, right, left. And you create your hole with like a slurry of bentonite, then you pull it back. In the meantime, you make your whole pipe 40-foot lengths, you weld them together. So you might pull 2,000 feet, but then you put a, you know, buckle on the thing, and then you pull it through with like an excavator or a loader. You just pull it right through the hole. And, you know, you spend a couple days doing your hole, and then you spend a couple hours pulling the 2,000 feet of pipe. And, but it's pretty cool to watch. It's just a little ditch witch. It's a little machine that's, I don't know, maybe the size of 4 of these tables stacked up on each other, but that's an option if the sandwich portion becomes problematic.
okay. That's good to know. All right. What else we got?
Just,
Other items? I don't have any other items. Does anybody else have any?
I just have one I'm gonna pass over. Citizens for the Protection of Aquoit Bay. I don't know if you folks are members or not, but they sent this to me, and it has a nice article on IAs and some other things. Basically, they're saying it's gonna take so long for them to do anything that these are some things they ought to consider in the meantime.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. I'm gonna
thank you.
take a look.
Let's see. Meetings pending. We're supposed to meet with Barnstable in January, time not yet decided upon, to talk about where Barnstable is on Pompanesett. And I think it's important that Ashley come, because according to Ashley, the Barnstable side of Pompanesett, all the way up through Shoestring Bay even, is probably the best area for aquaculture. So, and they're not doing any. So she's very interested in seeing if Mashpee can start distributing shellfish along that shore. We're also supposed to meet with Sandwich in January, and we're supposed to meet with Joint Base Cape Cod and Mr. Kennedy.
It'd probably be better to meet with Joint Base Cape Cod before we meet with Sandwich, because then we know what. Or do you-
We can look into that, Al. I'm guessing if we meet with Kennedy, that somebody from Sandwich will be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll find out. And there was one other meeting. I can't remember. So January, pretty busy month in terms of intermunicipal conversations. And that's it. That's the agenda. Unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about. Okay,
hearing none, I move we adjourn.
Second,
all right. Thank you, everyone.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.